again, I think it's a matter of mindset. If you think, that you could do it, right? You just need to, like you said, plan your work and then work your plan.
It's interesting how we often will do more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure, right? That's just part of being human. We'll do more to avoid losing $10,000 than to gain $10,000. That's just part of being human. Pain is such a powerful motivator.
And it kind of builds the relationship, because at the end of the day, I think it's like a lot of building relationship. It's good to have like top realtor partners, but you never know if the realtor that is not top now would be top after,
Well, welcome everybody to our Art of Mortgage Marketing podcast. My name is Doran Aldana. I'm here with the one and only Penny Wrightley as our co-host for the podcast. And we have a very special interview with one of our clients, one of our superstar clients who really showed up exceptionally coachable and committed and has created a phenomenal transformation over the span of a very short period of time. This is the one and only Mark Libario. We're going to talk today with Mark about how he literally took his annual income and turned it into his quarterly income in a span of just 11 months. I kid you not. His annual income into his quarterly income in just 11 months. And here's the kicker: without begging, bribing, or kissing butts or cold calling, all that yucky stuff you don't want to be doing. So let's dive in. Mark, thanks for hanging with us today.
Thank you for having me, Doran. Happy to be here.
It's such a delight, man. It's incredible. It's already been 11 months since you joined Planet Prosper, as we like to say. And wow, it's like night and day where you are now compared to where you were 11 months ago. Before we dive into your journey, perhaps you can just share a little bit about yourself, where you're located, how long you've been in the business, and what inspired you to get into this crazy business. Why don't we start there, shall we?
Yeah, sure. Basically, my background, I used to work in the bank. I used to work. I used to work at Scotiabank for almost like 2 years, and then 2, 3 years, and then I used to work at National Bank for almost like 4 to 5 years. So I've been heavily in the banking industry before I decided to become a mortgage broker. The reason I decided to switch actually to become a mortgage broker, because before I actually wanted to become a financial planner, do more investments and everything. COVID hit. So as a senior advisor at one of the branches that I used to handle with, a lot of panic happened when investments were crashing, and I was handling, like portfolio of clients. And at one point, it got so busy, and I feel like it was like too much work, but the pay that I'm getting during that period was not enough. It's just like more stress than pay, and then at the same time that I'm handling investments, and I was doing also mortgages. But when I was doing mortgages, I hated to do actually mortgages. When I was at the branch, that's the last thing I wanted to do. I don't want to touch any mortgage. It makes me panic. It makes me just like stress, like, oh my God, it's someone, like there's too much documents to ask, too much things to verify. I don't know how to do it, because when I used to work at my previous bank, I never learned how to do mortgages. Every time we have a mortgage file, we just need to refer it to a mortgage specialist, and they handle the file. And we just like basically, like earn, like not earn, but we get recognized by the amount that referred. So when I switched to one of the big banks, I need to learn it. And I even have like an imposter syndrome that I was like a senior advisor, right? And there's other people who was like uh, an entry level advisor, or like advisor lower level than me. They know how to do mortgages, but me, I got hired as a senior and I don't know any mortgages, and I stress every time I get. So that's what happened. But going back to my thing is, COVID happened and it stressed. Very stressful for me. At one point, I remember there was this morning, I was just like standing waiting for the branch to open. But it was like that busy period. I think it was, I don't know, like around March, April. And it's the and almost end of the quarter. We have quotas, targets, from investments, insurance to mortgages, like everything. So I was like so stressed that morning. And at one point, I decided to walk to my office, and I kind of like blacked out. Like, and I was like standing on near my chair. I blacked out for like a few seconds, and I kind of like fall back to my seat, and then I panicked. I was like, what was that? What the hell just happened, right?
Wow.
And I'm young, like I'm only like 34. So when this happened, I think it was like probably like 3 years ago or 2.5 years ago. And I don't know what that, probably like high blood pressure or anything, but I never experienced anything like that. And that scared me. And I was like, okay, I think this is it. I cannot do this type of job anymore for the
This
amount that
job is bad for my health. It's time to find
exactly.
something else. All right.
Exactly. So I knew I didn't want to do investments because of like the past experience. I was like, okay, you know what? It's finally, I learned that it's not something I wanted to do. I don't, and at the same time, I kind of got tired of running after people, because I need to always call clients, if they have investment elsewhere. So I'm kind of the one like running after people. But when I learned how
Mhm.
to do mortgages, one thing I learned is like it's people who need me. It's not me who need them, it's them who need me. I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I need to switch the mindset, behind investments and mortgages. And the moment I made the switch, the mindset that, oh, I'm gonna like mortgages, I end up loving it. And during the last, I think, few weeks that I was doing it, I was like trying just to learn as much as I could when it comes to mortgages, even though I've been there for like almost 2 years, and I try to pass it around, like, oh, mortgage, oh, let someone do it. But on that final few weeks, I learned to love it, and I actually started applying at the job within that bank, because I wanted to, hey, you know what? I want to have my own time. I've always want to be like self-employed or have control of my time. And I started loving mortgages, and I could do that as a mortgage specialist at the branch, right? So
Right.
I applied and everything. I got like, I think, 4 interviews in a span of 1 week. So I was like very confident. I was like, oh, from like manager all the way to like the top level, I was like, oh wow, I think I'm gonna get the job. And weeks passed by, didn't get any call. I went to vacation, came back, didn't get any call, and I was like getting frustrated because again, I was like already stressed at work, and I was like, okay, if I'm not gonna get any answer from them, what is my other option? So I started searching, mortgages, mortgage specialist, and I didn't even know about mortgage broker like 2 years ago. Like, what is a mortgage broker? I
Right.
don't know.
Is that what people use when they can't get a mortgage at the bank? They go to a lowly mortgage broker. Maybe that was
Yeah,
your thinking, right?
yeah. But I really don't know what a mortgage broker was. So when I was like searching in the internet, then I saw like, oh, mortgage broker, and I need to get my license, I need to pass and do the exam. And I kid you not, when I learned about that and I did more research, I found out that, oh, the bank where I'm working with, I can also offer their mortgage product. Why do I need to stay with one bank when I could access that even without working there, right? And I have other options. And I started registering, and I think, like when you really wanted something in your mind, you just like forget everything and just like spearhead on that. So
Mhm.
usually, uh, like I took the exam. I think I inquired how long it would take. They said like 6 months. You could get the license within 6 months, 4 to 6 months, depending how fast you do with an instructor and everything. And I don't know much about mortgages again by the time. But what I did is like, okay, you know what? I don't have 6 months. I don't know if I could take another 6 months of stress at that work. So what I did is I took the program. I signed up for the online with no instructor. So I calculated, I saw like, okay, this modules, I think there's like 12, 13. I counted how many pages there are. And I said like, okay, I wanted to get it in a month. I need to be out of this bank in a month. So what I did is like, okay, 360 pages, I divided by 30 days. Okay, I need to finish at least 30 pages per day. And I started studying every day after work, boom, study, book, study. I did my quiz, did my exam and everything. And I think after 3 weeks or 1 month, I finished the whole module. I took the exam in the school. So it's like an online school. I passed that, which allowed me to take the exam for the government exam. And usually people would wait another month, like to not go. But me in my head, like it's still fresh. Why wait another month? So the week after I passed the school exam, I took the government exam right away, and then I passed it. And I was like, oh wow, I finished everything. Like I think it's like in a month or almost like a month and a half. I think
Amazing.
a month, and then I got my license and everything, and then I sent my resignation to my manager at the branch. The moment they found
That must
out,
have been a
sudden
glorious. That must have been a glorious day.
Yeah, I was very happy. I was ready to leave, and I kid you not, then they started calling. I was like, "Hey, Mark, sorry, it's been a busy la la la," you know. And I was like, "If we offer you the job now, would you take it?" And me in my head, I was
Too
like,
late.
Really? Now it's like now that I already know that I could do something else and offer the same bank, right? So I was like, "No, sorry, uh, I have made my decision," and that's when I switch and I quit and I become a mortgage broker, and that's the beginning of it. And when I switched, actually, I when I started, I thought that's gonna be easy. I have like bank experience. I have the in my community, or like people know me, friends, colleagues and everything. I have like when you have the credentials, basically, like someone that would trust you. He's done work at the bank for the last 8 years. He's dealt with a lot of clients, high income, low income, you name it, right? I thought it's going to be easy for me to do the switch and have clients, like just flow and like, "Oh, okay, Mark, we're going to go with you if ever we need mortgages." It didn't happen.
It's like the field
So
of dreams. It's like the field of dreams, or it's not like the field of dreams. If you build it, they will not come just because you have a placard on the wall that says open for business and you've got a resume with some experience with working in the banking world. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a stampede of clientele. And you found that to be true pretty early in the process. How long had you been in the banking world prior, or rather in the broker world before you met us? Maybe around a year or something?
a year.
About a
So
year. Okay.
I so basically when I started in the my mortgage brokerage, there's like training, but I'm allowed to have clients already. But I
Mhm.
feel like on the first 3 months or 4 months, I was just like slacking, because it's the first time that I could just like sleep in, wake up whenever I want. I'm just gonna wake up when there's like a training module that I need to attend because I need to do that. So because there's like they need to check mark that I pass basically the training period of my brokerage. So but every single time I was just like I'm just coasting. And at one point I think it came into my mind because when I quit, uh I think I mentioned it previously, is because we just recently bought a house during that time. So me
So you had
quitting.
that overhead on top of the fact that now you're on 100% commission, which you kill with no safety net. On top of the fact that no one's taught you how to hunt in the wild. It's a bit like you were the bear in the zoo when you were at the bank, who's used to having a steady paycheck, with having that zookeeper throw meat over the fence every day or every two
Yeah,
weeks for that steady paycheck. And now
exactly.
you have the audacity because you're sick and tired of being in the limitation and having that glass ceiling over your head and all the stress and all the quotas and all the bureaucracy and the red tape of being in bank zoo prison. You decided to have the audacity to leap over the fence and go and win in the wild. But you realize after a few months, maybe a few weeks of trying to win in the wild like a wild Kodiak and being unequipped and ill equipped for the task at hand, that it's not going to bode well if you don't learn how to hunt in the wild properly. Is that a fair assessment of your situation at that point?
Exactly. Yeah. You hit it in the head. Yeah. Yeah.
So here you are now. You're ready to win in the wild. You're hungry to win in the wild, but bank prison did not teach you how to hunt in the wild like a wild Kodiak. And now you're fending for yourself and you got a mortgage to pay. And so tell us about the problem you had before joining. It was about a year into you being trying to win in the wild without having really a plan, without having sufficient support. And on top of that, being new to having 100% control of your schedule. So, freedom's wonderful, but it's a double edged sword, right? You have the freedom to sleep in, which is great, but it's also a double-edged sword because you have to be a lot more self-disciplined and you got to plan your
Exactly.
work your plan, and you actually have to have a plan, and then you got to stick to it. So there's that catch 22 factor of having all that freedom and autonomy that oftentimes ends up being a ditch that people fall into unwittingly, and just because they don't know what they don't know, how to support themselves to optimal performance and productivity. So that's where you were to some degree a year in. Paint the picture for us. Take us into the journey of being Mark Libario, one year into this thing, meandering in the wilderness, and what problem did you have prior to joining Planet Prosper?
Yeah, I think one like really at that beginning of the year, the main problem I had was really trying to build my business because I came in here thinking that it would be easy for me to have business because of the experience that I have. I'm very active in social media and LinkedIn as well. So for me, I thought, like people who know me, even past clients, loyal clients that know me, I thought that, if ever one day that they're gonna need my help, they're gonna contact me. It never happened. So I think that's the first problem. The second problem I think is uh I'm a very motivated person, but one thing I learned, like motivation is not enough. You need to do actual work, right? You need to have discipline, because motivation alone did not pay my bills, during that
Right.
period. The only thing I think that made me like really close is because I know I have like a safety net. I have like savings during that period. So for me, even if I'm not earning yet, it's fine. I still have savings, but it started like eating it. And another problem that I had is just like I left work to get out of stress, but now when I become a mortgage broker and I have no clients and I have not earning money, I got a different type of stress, another, so I was like, wow, I switched, get out of stress, but came back to stress because the other stress that I have is not only we just recently bought a house, right? Our car is up for renewal because we always do like renew our lease. So we need to get like a new car for that year. And at the same time, I just proposed the year before to my now wife, and we have a wedding planned that year, right? So my savings basically was kind of like part of like, okay, you know what, it's gonna be me more like enough to sustain me for like a year or 2 years, I think. But then along that, when I was like planning on quitting, I didn't know that my now wife wanted to get married like earlier. So I was like, okay, you know what, we're gonna get married. So we planned, and I didn't know how, like how expensive it could be,
How many zeros and commas that comes with, not to mention now the big bill, the big juicy, let's get married and have a wonderful celebration that lasts for one day, maybe 1 week, and then it's
Yeah,
over.
yeah,
Not only how big that bill was, but now it's moving closer,
exactly. Yeah.
and the pressure, I'm sure, is mounting accordingly.
Yeah, yeah, immense pressure because as I was like almost every month, I was like looking at my bank account, I was like budgeting, okay, because the closer we get to the wedding, the more we finalize like, like quotations, how much it would cost and stuff like that. And the more I was like eating on my savings, and it was like almost like getting I think at one point I realized like, oh my God, I'm after the wedding, the money that I thought I would have for another year is basically gonna be gone. And that was when I panicked. And that's when I started like, I need to start doing some work, I need to start waking up, treat it as if like my own business. Because I think I was just, I don't know, I was just too relaxed because again, I don't have a schedule anymore. I never learned anything, how to become like self-employed. It's not something that I learned. I just do it at the work because it's like a schedule. I need to be there at 9, I need to leave at 5, and it's just a routine for me, right? So when I left that type of world, I just don't know. I have no routine anymore, right? So moving forward, I still have no clients. I started doing social media. I started posting a lot of like videos, educational video, because if no one's gonna hear about me, no one's gonna reach out to me, right? So I started reaching out. I started reaching out to realtors as well, cold calling people that I know, some of my wife's friends, that she knows. I started calling, and I was at one point, I think I was like doing the same. I realized back then it's like I'm doing the same script like every mortgage broker tells to other realtor, you know, like, hey, excellent communication, have access to all banks. It just like worded differently, I guess, but it's the same, it's the same wording, it's the same idea, so nothing really makes me stand out. So during that first year, it was like a struggle bus. And not only, but again, like I know, like I'm running out of savings. I started also spending money on marketing. So I started doing like Facebook ads, Google ads. I started doing like Instagram boost. I did yellow pages as well for like I think 6 months. Didn't bring anything. I didn't get any clients as well when I was running Facebook ads. A lot of like inquiries, but I feel like it's not like quality leads that I'm getting, and I was just like depleting my savings faster and faster. And when we got married, after our married, I was like super happy, like, oh yes, like after the wedding ceremony, we have planned to travel as well. So, but then after the honeymoon phase, by the time I got back home, and everything is like used up. I was like, what now? I still don't have any clients. I still don't have any files. My friend that was like a realtor, and I was hoping that he's gonna send me deals. He was not as busy as well because uh, when I started the mortgage broker, I started when rates are super high. This is when rates were at almost like 5.5, almost 6%, right? So no one's buying, no one's no one's refinancing, no one's doing anything. So I have no files. And but me in my mindset, again, I think it's a matter of mindset. If you think, that you could do it, right? You just need to, like you said, plan your work and then work your plan. So me in my head also, when I think one thing I was thinking is like, if I started as a mortgage broker during the hardest part of the year, or like the period, and I survived this, you know, I said I would survive anything. If I could stay in business during these turbulent times, I would make it, no matter what other turbulent times would ahead, because what else is worse than, like interest rates are so high. Not only rates are so high, home prices are so high, right? Back then they could say like, oh yeah, but interest rate at 12, 14, 16, yeah, but home prices are like 200 grand, like 100 grand. It was like also like cheaper, right? But now a lot of people, there's a lot of difference now in terms of someone's annual income or like their budget and the cost of mortgage, right? So I think that's when I think like I just need to survive this. But for me to survive, I need to find a way to survive, because at one point I need to go back to work, right? And which I don't want, because I told my wife back then like, hey, this is it. I'm quitting. I'm doing my own thing, and going back to the same job is kind of like, you know, probably at one point I'm gonna like, you know what, I'm just gonna accept defeat, and probably go back if needed be. But I just did not want. There was also a time actually, I never shared it, but I was so stressed after work, and I was still panicking, like bills, like just bills, and one after the other, and then I think 2 weeks after, 3 weeks after, we found out that we're pregnant. So I was like so happy, but then stressed
That
again. I was like,
that's
oh my
that's when
God.
you hear this in your head,
Ex- exactly.
right?
So it's like one after the other, like you're happy that I'm gonna have like a kid, but then in my mind, I'm not thinking about now. I'm thinking about the
The
year
bills,
after, the bills,
yeah,
the year after, like
the
I know
maternity leave, the 30%
exactly.
cut in your wife's income, all that, right?
Oh yeah, I was calculating. I was like doing all the numbers. I was like so stressed. I was like, oh my God, like the moment she had income cut and I still have no income, and I was like running the numbers, like how much the mortgage,
Yeah.
car, electricity, everything, and then how much she's gonna end up earning, and if I still not earning anything, like we're gonna drown, like it's gonna be really bad, right? And then that's when I realized like I really need to start doing something, so at least before she goes to maternity, the year after, at least I have something going on, right? I have, so I started. That's when I started waking up, doing some work, and then I think because with all the things that I'm like searching online, I saw Doran's ad, and that's when it piqued my attention, and I booked the call, and I said like, hey, you know what? I've tried everything. I spend money. Why not check this out? One last time. So and that's when I reach out and I talk to Doran. So imagine the stress that I had. It's like a different stress from work and as a mortgage broker, and stress of life, no income, your savings just ran out, you had a big wedding coming up, and you have a kid coming up. your wife's gonna go in maternity, and all those things, no? So and at the same time, I was also worried, will I have even money to renew my license, because on my brokerage, there's an annual renewal thing where we need to renew our license and the tools that we use and everything, so I was like, oh my God, and I think this was around September, October. I think I had like one deal before that year ends. It was like December. I was so happy, but it was I think I got like $700. I was like, oh yes, finally I have it's $700 less that I could, put aside, But and then after it was dead again for like 6 months, and I think that's when, so 6 months, that was like around June already. And
Yeah,
that's when,
June,
yeah, yeah,
June
that's when I reached out.
2024.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
during that period, it was like still slow. And I think at that January until June, that's when it was like peak high interest. Rates were at 6% and everything. And I was like, oh my God, my wife's, I think I remember when I called, when I reached out to you, Doran, that was like there's 1 month left before my wife goes maternity. And I was like, what am I gonna do? What am I
The
gonna do?
precipice is looming. The precipice
E-
is looming. So yeah,
Exactly.
I'm really getting connected to where you were, and I remember the conversation with you. I know it was definitely like I got to man up or I got to go back to banking prison or something because I'm running out of time. And I remember there was a lot at stake for you. There was the combination of your relationship with your wife, promises you made to your wife, your own sense of dignity and your own sense of desire to create something beautiful and create freedom and create legacy. There was a lot that was at stake there. What was the biggest fear? I know there was a lot of fears for you, right? There's a lot of fears. But what was the deepest, biggest fear that perhaps you had a hard time even articulating at the time, let alone now, that was driving you such that you decided to say, screw it, let's do it and invest in our system? What was your biggest fear in terms of the consequence of failure for you?
I think the biggest fear for me is because I've always told my wife that I wanna do my own thing, right? I wanna be self-employed. I wanna have in control of my time. So the
Mhm.
biggest fear for me is like the moment I decided to try something and it doesn't work out, and kind of shows her that, yeah, I've been talking all this big game, and the moment I did it, there's no game, right? So I think also like the embarrassment uh,
Right.
of failing, because when I was working at a bank, I'm a motivated guy. I really work hard. I like getting recognition, I like getting my bonuses, So I think the more like the failure, like that scares me. And at the same time, uh doing, especially now that we're gonna have a kid, one thing that I realized during that period, because my wife, when she was working uh like long hours. She was working from morning, and she does overtime. Sometimes she used to finish like at 7 or 8, but she works from home. And then me, since we bought a house and we moved outside the city, I need to leave, let's say, at 7 a.m. And because at the bank world, right, sometimes it's busy, you need to do all this like other work after work, that I end up staying until like 6, 7, and then another hour drive back home. I get home at 8. So when I realized that, like, hey, we're going to have a kid, if my wife gets busy with work, she does overtime, and I'm out at 7 and back at 8 or 9, right? I'm never gonna see my kid,
Mm.
and that's when I realized, like, I don't want to be that parent, or I don't want to have that life where I'm only available on the weekends, or I don't even know if I'm gonna be available on the weekends. Maybe on weekends I just want to sleep and relax, and I don't want to be that person. So I think that scared me, to be like a parent that's not there for their
The
kid growing
absentee
up.
daddy, the absentee
Exactly. Like
hubby.
I'm there physically, right? But mentally, probably I'm not there because I'm just tired. Because by the time imagine also like here in Quebec, like winter, right? By the time I get home, I need to like shovel the snow, and do all those things. So by the time I need to like spend time probably with my kid, I just want to sleep, and I don't want to be that person. So I think that's what scared me the most, because yeah, I could go back, I can accept defeat, but now we have a kid, on the way, that's one thing that made me realize.
It's interesting how we often will do more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure, right? That's just part of being human. We'll do more to avoid losing $10,000 than to gain $10,000. That's just part of being human. Pain is such a powerful motivator. That was one of the reasons why you crammed 3 to 6 months worth of getting yourself licensed into 4 to 5 weeks because of the pain of living in banking prison and wanting to get out like yesterday, right? And what I'm hearing you say is what was on the line for you in terms of your deepest fears, the pain that you're wanting to avoid, the hellfire of the suck of failure you're wanting to avoid, was your manhood was on the line. Your word to your wife was on the line. The fact you said you're going to do X and you didn't follow through and it's just fluff, it's just BS. It didn't land and show up in truth, and it was just a bunch of hype. So your honor to your word to your wife is on the line. Am I hearing you right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Notice how powerful that is, guys, to get connected to what's at stake for you. Because when you get connected to that, that's the rocket fuel in your rocket. Your legacy with your family as a father, a present husband, to have a legacy where you're at the dance recitals and the ball games. You're there to be there for them when they go off to work or go off to school and get picked up from school. Daddy's present. Your presence and legacy as a dad was on the line. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So powerful to get connected to what's at stake, guys. That's one of the reasons why we shine that light of truth on our breakthrough calls, to get you connected to that. Because once you get connected to that, I often say, we can't change our reality until we face our reality. And you are getting very emotionally connected to what's at stake in that moment, just by virtue of the circumstances you're in. But why us? I mean, you had lots of other options. There's lots of other so-called coaching programs out there, so-called quote unquote solutions out there. Why did you choose Planet Prosper over and above all the other options? Was it just like, hey, we happen to be the first one that you reached out to and you just got lucky? Or was there an analysis of your options and something that logically had you choose us over the other options?
I think one reason that made me choose to go over Planet Prosper is because not because of the marketing, but because I did research as well. I looked at testimonials. One thing that kind of captured my attention was like the testimonials or like the video testimonial. There's one that I saw with Ben Davis. Actually, I saw that as well. So it kind of captured my attention, and I've looked at other coaching programs, and for me, they're all like similar. A lot of like cold calling. I hated cold calling when I was at the branch. That's what I do.
Welcome to
Uh,
the club.
yeah, I didn't want that. Another coaching thing that I have was like social media, building like relationship through social media and everything, but I was already doing that. So I don't want to pay like extra for something that doing the same thing that I've already been doing. Probably, yeah, there's things that I need to improve, but those are things that I could learn. But I don't want to wait, like longer anymore, right? So when I was like looking, okay, what does Doran you know, have? What's different with Doran's program compared to others? And I think the whole idea behind it was like really different. Like I don't need to do the cold calling. So that kind of piqued my interest. And yeah, and I decided to do the call.
So you felt the fear and you did it anyways. You said, screw it, let's do it. You launched onto Planet Prosper, and the rest is history. We're going to talk about the outcomes, the incredible outcomes you've produced over the last 10, 11 months in a moment. But to start off with, what did you notice to be the most helpful component, or the most helpful weapon, or the most helpful strategy that we provided you as you started to apply the coaching and put the formula to work in your business? And why do you think it was so effective?
I think one thing that helped really was on the modules. a big part is the mindset part on the modules, uh, and the scripting for sure after. But at the end of the day, I could be good at the script, right? But if your head is not there, if you don't have a strong mindset, I think it's just gonna fall apart, right? I could be the best, like cold caller there, but if I hear a word from someone that I didn't like, that would break my my spirit, I would stop doing the cold calling, no matter how much, I memorize the script, right? So I and the way I think on the module, especially on the mindset part, how it's not like a general mindset, because you could listen to a lot of like mindset thing in YouTube, like why would I pay for this? I could just have it in YouTube, right? Listen to all this mindset. But I think on the module, one thing that helped me, it's always revolving around as a mortgage broker, right? It's kind of it re- the topics that you talk about, like even if someone were to say, like I'm not gonna go into detail, but it always kind of like touch back to the point, like, you know, that would relate only to mortgage brokers, I find. So it's really specific, that mindset. The When you share stories as well, it's always like relatable. It's very relatable to mortgage broker. Like if I was, let's say, for example, I'm listening to a coaching and I listen to that module about mindset, and let's say I don't know, I'm in a different type of work, I don't think I would relate, you know. But that's one thing that I kind of liked about it. And
Yeah, it's mortgage specific, so you don't have to
exactly,
try and prune and trim things and modify things to make it
to
relevant to your
myself, yeah.
situation, right? It's hyper relevant because we're specialists, not generalists, specialists in the mortgage space, not just general business coaching. So that certainly is a huge, I should say, accelerator for transformation, because trying to modify things to have it fit into your world slows you down. So
Exactly.
it sounds like that was a piece that was helpful. You mentioned cold calling and the mindset around cold calling. Something shifted in how you approached realtors, the type of realtors you were approaching, how you were approaching it, such that it was no longer cold calling once you landed on Planet Prosper. Is that true?
Yeah, exactly. It's like a different, actually, it's like a different technique, because if I were to call, it would be like a cold calling. But the way I reach out to realtors, make it appear, it's like I'm warming them up, So the moment that they reach out to me, it doesn't feel like cold calling, because they're already warm on what I have to offer, on what
So they're reaching out to you versus you reaching out to them. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So say what? How do you? So I can imagine that changes things a little bit. They're reaching out to you versus you reaching out to them. So it's no longer a cold call, it's a warm call. Why would you need mindset coaching if they're reaching out to you? Why don't you just slam dunk them and be like, hey, get over your imposter syndrome, get over your stinking thinking, get over your mind trash, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Like, that was easy. Get over it, get over yourself, and just slam dunk these people reaching out to you. Why would mindset even be a relevant thing you'd even bring up for a context like that? I'm just curious.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, right, before you get to the point where the realtors are going to be the one reaching out to you, I need to reach out to them, right? But it's kind of like improving the way you reach out to the realtor that kind of piques their interest, so they reach out to you. But again, not every realtor would, you know, would be interested in what I have to say or what I have to offer. So I've had realtors that shut me down, said bad things, or like whatever it is. Like sometimes I even share it on the call, and it just gonna break me apart. It's gonna be like, oh my God, like just one bad call. If I have a list of, let's say, 10 realtors to call that day, if I started with one bad call, I'd probably not continue the next nine calls, so uh and again, because of the mindset, it's how I kind of shift the mindset, for every bad call or like a negative things
What's
that
one thing you learned that helped you? Just like one little slogan or one little mantra or one little shift in perspective or one shift in meaning that really made a difference for you in terms of your mindset to shift from, oh man, I suck, they said no, to, big deal next. Like, what was one thing you said to yourself or that you learned that made a difference for you to keep going and to get the 747 off the runway by throttling up the gas versus stepping on the brakes?
I think I don't know how to say it like in one sentence, but I'm just gonna probably describe it because there's one part there in the module and the mindset where you kind of shared that, you know, we're good at something. I know I have the experience. I know how to do mortgages. I've trained already with it. I have the experience. I've seen how mortgages think, right? So, and I know also back then the reason I chose mortgages is because it's the clients who need me. I don't need the clients, right? When it comes to buying a house, they need to go through financing. So I'm needed in the transaction, right? So I think one thing that switch is like when a realtor says no to me, it's like, okay, well, I'm not the problem because I know I'm gonna do my best for my clients. I know I have the knowledge, the skills, and the ability to do any mortgage file, no matter how hard or easy it is. Probably the realtor just doesn't see it yet because he doesn't know me. But again, how would he know if he never tries? But maybe he's not ready for me. So I just need to find the next person who's open, to work with me. And it's like the same mantra. What was it? Like so what? What was it?
SW, SW,
So yeah,
SW.
yeah. So
Some will,
some will,
some
some
will.
won't. So what? Who's next,
Next,
right?
someone's wedding. Someone's waiting.
Exactly. So I had that mantra like, look, if and I looked at it as like a deck of cards, right? So I have 52 deck of cards. Not all of it are aces, but before I go to that ace, I need to go through shuffle different cards first, right? And then I find an ace, and then next, you know. And I think one thing also that helps is on the module is like something about like building like fortitude. So at one point, all the no's and everything, I kind of got used to it. Like it just bounced off, as if like I have like a vest. I got shot and it just like bounced off. And I was just like, okay, next, I just need to hit my one call today or like my one booked appointment. And again, it helps, right? Without the mindset, I could have all the system that Doran provides, right? In his training, the tools, the script, and everything. But if you don't know how to handle like rejection or like realtors saying bad things to you, because again, they at the end they're gonna be the one reaching out to you, but before that happens, you need to reach out to them, right? And you need to like improve it. You need to do it not once, but two times, three times, four times, five times until you don't stutter. Because me, when I was doing the script, when I was calling, I was like stuttering. Sometimes even after a call, my wife like kind of laughs at me. Is like, "Oh, you're stuttering. I could hear you. Like you keep on repeating the same words." And I have the habit of like going around in circles. When I talk, I blabber, I
When
go
you're
around.
nervous, yeah.
Exactly when I'm nervous, and my wife always tells me that. And sometimes I ask him like, "Hey, what do you think?" Because sometimes she hears me.
Don't you
And
love it how your wife calls it tight? She tells you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, right? We
exactly,
call
yeah,
that calling it tight in coaching terms. So
yeah.
you got to love the significant other for calling it tight and just telling you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And did you ever have imposter syndrome around your accent? Because you're obviously not born in Canada. You have a
Yeah.
Filipino accent. And of course, us Canadians, we're used to telemarketers with Filipino accents, right? So did that ever cross your mind? And how did you get past that?
I think accent wise, I've already accepted that I have an accent. So I think it did not bother me. At the end of the day, I don't know if they're rejecting me because of my accent or not,
Did it
right?
ever cross your mind as like, man, is this going to hold me back? Or was it like, hey, it ain't no thing like a chicken wing. This is who I am and they're going to love me for it. Like, did you ever have it cross your mind or was that never a thing on your
No,
radar?
no. It actually and it never crossed my mind
That's
because
so
I know
cool,
like
man.
yeah,
That's
in
so
in
cool that it
Montreal,
never crossed your mind.
I know there's a lot of like immigrants here in Montreal, so everyone have their own accent. So
Right. You're
like,
like,
hey,
thank God
I'm
for
part of
Canada,
I'm part of
right?
the
It's a
club.
smorgasbord of culture here, right?
Exactly. So it did not bother me. And at the end of the day, I don't know if I'm getting rejected, because of how I talk, or how I sound, right? One thing really just that bothered me is like what I have to offer, like I'm new, you know. Why would they work with me? I'm only like 1 month, let's say a year in, and I have nothing to prove that I have accepted offer. I don't have like Google reviews to show that I close deals, that I have clients. I have like nothing, So it's more on that. I think that bothered me. Like
How did our system help you with that? to get past that? I'm new. I don't have a big reputation of Google reviews online. I don't have a bunch of clout and proof and credibility. How did our system help you get past that I'm new barrier?
I think it's not one thing that I learned, or like the system helped me, is not what I have to offer, but like digging deeper on what the realtor needs, you know. So at the end of the day, I could refer them clients, right? But it's like refer me, I refer you, you know, like, but what can I refer you? I don't have any clients, you know. So learning about like, okay, what can I do to help this realtor? You know, because if there's something that he's not doing that can probably generate business, right? Maybe I can work on that, you know. I would team up with you on this one. Oh, you're not doing this, maybe I can help you on this one, you know, get this out of your plate, you know, and probably bring business on that side. Some realtors, to be honest, they're like, I don't know, as if like they're the god in in real estate, like they know everything. Oh yeah, I know that. Oh yeah, I do this. Like, okay, you know, like good for you. You know,
We're
at the
probably not going
big
to be the right fit then because
exactly.
you're
But
not
when
obviously needing any help. So you're good.
exactly, but when I started, when I was doing the whole thing, for me, when they say that, I'm still like pushing myself. You know, like, oh yeah, but you know, and it comes salesy, you know. The more you put, like you say, right, the more you push, the more you repel. Is
The
it
more you sell, the more you
the more you
repel.
sell? Yeah, there you go. The more you sell, the more you see. I hear that a lot with Dorn, but yeah. And I was like very hard-headed before, so when I starting, you know, I'm not following everything that Doran is saying on the program. So I just keep on pushing because I wanted to have that partner, right? But then again, the more I do it, the more I improved, you know, the more I learned. And like you said, you know, repetition, you know, the more repetition I do, and I relate to it because I'm someone who goes to the gym a lot, and I know the importance of repetition to build, you know, get stronger. You know, you cannot go to the gym and just be strong on day one, right? You need to do it multiple times. You know, you cannot hit one kick and be the best on that one kick. You need to do the same kick 1,000 times, you know, instead of doing 1,000 different kick one time, you know. So that's how I looked at it. So yeah,
That's
I think
right.
that's one thing that helped me in your system is finding ways to actually help the realtor, not coming from me, but coming from them already. You know,
Yeah.
what are you doing that works for you, and what are you doing that's not working? Maybe I can help you on something that's not working, right? And if they're open
Yes.
to that, then let's go. Let's team up, right? I'm down to partner up.
So you shifted from being a Me Too mortgage pro. They've got competitive rates. Me too. They've got alternative lending programs. Me too. They've got great service. Me too. To being a value creator and diagnosing, asking quality, intelligent, strategic questions to uncover where they're leaving money on the table, meat on the bone, juice in the fruit, etc., so that you're getting inside their world and you're seeing, get in where you fit in, if you will, to see where you can bring value, being a value creator versus a loan leech. And so it's been 11 months of you building this muscle and being in it to win it, showing up to the Q&A calls, showing up coachable, showing up committed, doing the work. What kind of results have you produced? Obviously, we framed this call with some pretty lavish promises. You turned your annual income into your quarterly income. And as far as I know, that's just scratching the surface of what's happened over the last couple of months with your pipeline and your production just skyrocketing. You can share as detailed and transparent as you want, whatever you feel comfortable with. But you started 11 months ago doing around maybe anywhere between a deal, maybe sometimes on a good month, 2 deals a month. You're averaging somewhere around a deal a month, correct?
Yeah, I would not even say like 2 deals a month. I think it's like a deal a month or a
Yeah, a
deal.
deal a month. So that was your baseline 11 months ago. Where are you now?
I think now, in terms of like referrals that I'm receiving, I'm averaging 5 referrals a month, between 5 to 10. It depends really on, because
What was your best month over the last couple of months in terms of
the
closings?
best month was just like last month. I think it was like April or May, where I did like not referrals but 14 closed deals. Uh,
14.
yeah, in 1 month.
14 closings. Are you kidding me, brother? 14. You started with a deal a month on average 10, 11 months ago. And here you are last month, 14 deals. Is that just a flash in the pan, or are you seeing growth in the pipeline for June?
I think I'm seeing growth in the pipeline. So one thing I wanted to do is just continue and be building my pipeline, right? Because again, I don't want to look at it as like luck. There's no such thing as luck, because the more you work, the more lucky you get. So
That's right.
that's how I see it. So if I got that 14, it's not because I got lucky, it's because I put in the effort a few months before, right? So, and it just happened that all the referrals that I got or all the pre-approvals I did, they end up buying that period, right? But if I never got the referrals, if I never built the relationship that I have, I will not have the referrals, I will not have the pre-approval, and I will not have any closing.
That's just
Uh,
phenomenal, though, man. Like 14 deals from where you were 11 months ago doing one deal a month. How many partners did that come from?
the 14, it's actually a mix. Because right now my actual realtor partners, I think I have like four only, like really four active ones that
That
sending
came
me
from four
deals.
partners.
So the 14 probably, let's say, came from like, yeah, a mix of four, probably like three realtors. And also some of them are like from clients who referred me people that they know, right? So a
How
big
many of the
chunk of
14 came from partners?
from partners, probably a good like 10, probably
That's
from
phenomenal.
partners.
So they're
Yeah.
sending you over two deals each on average.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have one realtor partner that I've shared it multiple times also on our calls is uh like I learned how basically I applied what I learned in Doran's program, but even though he was not like a top realtor, I used the questions. I tried to find ways how I could help the realtor. And she was very open in learning and we worked together. And this is someone who's just like literally like new in the business. And just because of what we worked on together, she became so busy that sometimes I'm gonna get like three referrals in a week from her. Like there's a period where she sends me like almost 10 in a month, like referrals. Like, hey Mark, can you do pre-approval? So I was like busy with her. Like so even now she's sending me like referrals. So I think she's one of like my top realtor. And I'm a very appreciative of the trust that she gave. But I think also because it the more you give, I think the more you get. So during that period when she has nothing, and someone that like meeting me who has all the experience in the world and her who has no experience in real estate, basically just like a year in also, right? But at least me, I have something to back me up, but I did not like neglect her. I was like, okay, you know what? I've learned something, with the program. I know Doran said that could only apply for top realtors, but hey, you know what? Let's apply it also to this realtor, and it bear fruit, right? And it kind of build the relationship, because at the end of the day, I think it's like a lot of building relationship. It's good to have like top realtor partners, but you never know if the realtor that is not top now would be top after. And the past few months, she's been getting awards and awards in her brokerage because she's been closing deals. So I
Amazing.
all the clients that she got, she referred me. I closed it, and it generated more clients, and I just always refer it back to her, and that's how it happened. And from that, other realtors kind of see that it's kind of like really moving forward. So other realtor partners that I work with that partnered up with me kind of see the benefit of what I do, and that's what helped.
Yeah, what an amazing story. It just goes to show you the top producer isn't necessarily just a top producer in production. More importantly, they're top producer in heart, in hunger, in humility, in hustle. They have the eagle mentality versus the turkey or the chicken mentality. And that's who that lady is in her heart, in her character. She's an eagle. So in truth, she is a top producer in the making. She was a top producer in the making. And you saw that in her. You fanned that flame and you supported her to soar higher and look at her go. And as she succeeds, you succeed. How beautiful is that? Right? That's
Exactly.
symbiotic relationship. That's just amazing. And we have a saying here on Planet Prosper, which is we'd rather run with the few than drag the many. or soar higher with a few eagles versus, being dragged down by dozens of chickens in the
Exactly.
chicken
Because
yard?
one thing I also want to point out, when I started my brokerage, sometimes we get trainings, right? Like in-house training, one thing that they tell us, it's good to have like a lot of realtor partners. Not one, but like 10, 20, 30 realtor partners, because at least if all these 30 realtors gives you one, you close 30 deals, 20 to 30 deals a year. But I don't want to do that, like
That's a lot of
a lot
herds to
of
cat. That's a lot of cats
exactly.
to herd, rather.
Yeah,
A
I
lot of
don't even
herds
want
to
to.
cat.
I
I'm
find that
getting
that's too much work.
overwhelmed just thinking about it. I can't even say it straight.
Exactly,
Yeah, that's a
exactly.
lot of headaches. Every one of those realtors, you got to, take care of them, right? So much better to take care of a few and really go narrow, deep, and rich with a few, especially the ones who have the ego mentality, because they're less likely to be drama queens and prima donnas and call you at 11 o'clock with some, you know, urgent matter, quote unquote, 11 o'clock PM, not AM, and be in that freako mode where they're like, worried how they're going to pay their bill if this one deal doesn't go through. The bottom feeders and the struggle bunnies, they tend to be kind of freaked out because they're in survival mode. Top dogs are much more relaxed. They're like, hey, you take care of your stuff so I can take care of my stuff. Way less
Exactly.
drama, right? So how has your life changed since achieving all these amazing outcomes? Like, obviously, life has changed significantly from one deal a month to 14 last month, and the pipeline
Yeah,
building beyond that. But
exactly.
what has been the most meaningful life change to you in this short 11 months you've been here on Planet Prosper?
Uh, I think it's more like I have less, like bills is still there, like, but I have like less stress financially, I find, compared to when I was working at the bank, where it's paycheck to paycheck, right? Right now, when I go out, to be honest, it's like sometimes I don't even hesitate if we want to go out in a restaurant or not. I always ask. The past few months, I just like bring my wife, like, hey, you want to go out? Want to eat out? Or sometimes we just gonna go shop, like, hey, what do you want? Okay, I'll buy it for you, because me, I'm a big like Polo Ralph Lauren guy. So sometimes I shop for myself, but sometimes I ask my wife, like, hey, do you want something? I buy it for her. And now we have like a daughter. She's like 10 months old now. Every time we go there, we shop around for her just to get like just that specific brand, like Polo Ralph Lauren. And I think it's less stress again. And I could enjoy I think the time we could go vacation. One thing that I enjoy right now is we could go vacation. I think this year we went like 3 vacations in a year. Never need to ask for off, right? Or and even sometimes, like I make fun of my wife because she's gonna go back to work soon, right? Probably like in 3 months, after 18, I don't know, after 18 months. But I tell her like, hey, you know what? When you go vacation, now, you're gonna be the one asking. I need to plan my vacation based on where you're gonna get approved, because before we need to match it, right? Or we need to like, hey, should we go here? It's expensive and everything, like now it's like, okay, when I go there, okay, let's plan. Okay, let's do it. Sometimes I just look at like, oh, well, this month, next month, I'm gonna get like this commission. Maybe we could travel if you want. But good thing my wife, she's not someone who likes to spend. She's not someone who likes to buy all this like material stuff. She just want experience. But even traveling, she's very like, hey, we'll travel when we could, or when you want. So sometimes when I want to travel, I just tell her and we booked it, right? And that when I was working in a bank, I couldn't do that because every paycheck, I kind of like look at our budget. I don't have much left. Everything went to credit card, line of credit, bills, mortgage, and all those things, savings. Like I put more money on savings, but I never get to enjoy that money. Because you're saving for, I don't know, the future. You're always waiting for that one vacation a year. But now, we don't need to worry about that. And I like it. It's something that I like. um I like also that we get to like improve stuff in the house, or like spend, compared to, I feel like if I was going to be an employee, I'm going to be like, you know what, let's not do this, because there's no money, to spend on the house, right? So let's say if need to improve the driveway or need to replace something, I think I would postpone it more and more because again, the money's not there. But now, I'm not saying that like we're very comfortable, but it's better. I'm not here to like brag that, oh, I have all this money in the world. No, that's not the case. There's a difference, because it's
You're
a
just
matter of
getting warmed up, brother. You're just
it's a
getting
matter
warmed
of perspective, I find. But it's just comfortable right now.
Yeah. How great does it feel to be able to just, hey, honey, let's go on a trip and do it and not even skip a beat? Like that never gets old if you're anything like me, right? That never gets old. And helping people who are eagles in the making break free from the cage so they can soar free, like you have, and like Penny has, and so many other people who have taken our program, that feeling of liberating eagles, it never gets old. And this is certainly no exception. It's just glorious to see. Before we ask you your last question, Mark, I feel like I'd be remiss not to ask Penny to share her feedback or just make a comment, because she's been seeing you show up to the coaching calls diligently, religiously, consistently, week in and week out, building momentum. And I know there's something inside her that needs to be expressed, because she's been seeing you on the front line, showing up and doing the work. And I'd be remiss not to let her unmute her mic and share that.
Beautiful. Mark, I'm so excited for you. I've been watching you now for almost the better part of a year, I guess, just about a year, and watching you show up on all of the calls, hearing all of the great success stories as we share celebrations on our calls, and hearing those celebrations every week. And it's just like, it seems like every week it was just getting better and better and better. And I think it's just incredible for you. You really put your heart and soul into this. Like it was something where you were like, I'm going to do this. Like you were just like, you were determined, you made a decision, and it's very, very clear because you can see it in your success now. All that determination that's within you is coming out and it's shining really bright. It's beautiful to see because you have this beautiful young family. You've got a little one at home, but you also get to enjoy vacations and you get to build this beautiful business and you're getting to create this beautiful life. And I feel so blessed, I guess, to get to see that and watch that in you. And it's been amazing to watch because certainly, all of the efforts that you've put into building that is now paying off in spades. And it's wonderful to see for you. So congratulations on all your success. I think it's incredible. I can't wait to see what you do next because I feel like you're just getting warmed up. I feel like you're just getting started. Like this is like, you've gotten a taste. You're like, okay, this is how I do it. And now you're like, you're ready to just go, I'm going to go even bigger now. And you're building this beautiful life. And it's such a blessing to see. And I'm so excited for you. So I can't wait to see what you do next.
Amen.
Thank you, Penny.
And thank you, Penny, for being a huge part of Mark's success as well. All the insights you've shared, the lessons you've learned that you've passed on to him, the ditches that you fell into that you highlighted so that he doesn't have to step into those ditches. So thank you for paying it forward. And it's like the candle in the room, in the dark room, that lights another candle. And then that candle lights another candle, and so on and so forth. And every time a new candle's lit, it doesn't take away from the light of the first candle. If anything, it magnifies the light. And so thank you for sharing that light. And not only is it magnifying light in Mark's life, but it's magnifying light in your life. So we appreciate you.
Beautiful. Well, thank you.
Yeah. So as we wrap up here, Mark, I can't believe a whole hour has gone by already. That's crazy how time flies when you're having fun. I imagine there might be some people listening to this or watching this, and they might be on the fence about reaching out to book a call like you did 11 months ago. That was the spark that ignited your business to stratospheric levels in such a short period of time. And maybe they're holding back. Maybe they're like, oh, I can't afford to, or I don't know if this is the right time, or that sounds like it's going to be out of my comfort zone, or whatever the story is they're telling themselves that's had them on the fence, as opposed to just pouncing on the opportunity to explore how we can help them as we did you. What would you say to someone like that who's sitting on the fence?
To anyone who's like sitting on the fence, I think you should just really go for it, right? Even before I joined, I had my own share of excuses, but I think it's just like excuses to make me feel better, and I think it's gonna be the same thing for whoever is listening. It's just excuses to make you feel better. but you just really need to jump in, like you need to trust on yourself that you could do it, and it came to you. If you see like Doran's ad or post or anything, it came for a reason. Maybe you've been looking, because if you see that ad, it's because you've been looking around, and it's you're not gonna get ads that something that you're not looking for, right? So if it came to your page, I think you should try it. And once you've actually tried it, not just like being subscribe to Doran's program, you also need to do the work, right? Because me, I also made excuses why I should not launch the campaign, why I should not call the realtors, or for whatever excuses. There's gonna be an excuse before you join, and also while you're already there, there's other excuses that you need to do. But one thing I learned is when I get past those excuses and actually do the work, it actually paid off. And from there, it just, once you start seeing fruit, you just really need to nurture it. Like me, I'm at a point that I'm not saying like I'm relaxed, but I'm nurturing what I have right now, right? But before it came there, right, I had my excuses even I was already in the program, right? So again, if you're hesitant, I think you should just really go for it. And Doran always say, on this module, especially on the mindset part, and this is something that I pointed out a lot earlier, don't just listen to it one time, two times, three times. You listen to it multiple times, because trust me, I did listen to it multiple times, because the first time it just goes through, it's like skimming. Second time I did it, it's kind of like sticking in. But third time, I'm starting like, oh, at first it kind of probably looks dumb, listening to the same thing over and over again. But, the impact it has when you listen multiple times, and the more things that stick in your mind, and the more it kind of fortifies, you know, yourself as a person, it really helps. It's like singing a song. No, it's like listening to a song. You don't know the lyrics of the song, but at one point you heard it like 5, 10 times, you're just like singing the tune. You're like chanting it now. So it's the
That's
same
right.
thing. So yeah,
And next,
go for it. Go for it, and you will not regret it. Trust me. That's it.
well, I mean, could you imagine where you would be right now if you had not pulled the trigger 11 months ago, Mark? Where do you think you'd be 11 months from now if you had not pulled the trigger?
I actually don't know. I probably would have returned back to the bank, but a different position. Probably not as a financial advisor. Probably I'm gonna end up doing like commercial, because I don't like going backwards. I always wanna like move forward. So if ever I were to go to a bank, I would want to make sure that I'm changing to a higher position. But still, I'm gonna end up working, and it's the same thing. One thing I realize is like a higher position is, like more responsibilities, but the pay, it's probably high in gross, but after tax, there's not much.
Peanuts.
So yeah, there's,
Yeah.
you might see there's an extra 20,000 there, probably gross, but at the end, every 2 weeks, there's probably only extra like $300, $400. And but yeah, I think that's what,
Back to banking prison.
yeah.
Could you imagine that, being in banking prison right now, not being able to see your kid until 8 o'clock at night, the commuting, the rat race, the crazy, not having control of your schedule, busting your buns, making peanuts, not honoring your promise to your wife, and feeling that imposter syndrome of being all hype and not actually honoring your word and your promise, and just being, feeling like you lost your manhood when it comes to being a man of your word. Could you imagine like that? That could have been your life, but you decided to say, screw it, let's do it. And you felt your fear and you did it anyways. And look at you now. And you're just getting warmed up. That's the exciting part, brother. You're just scratching the surface of the surface. So if you could close 14 deals from a couple client referrals and 4 partners, imagine what you can do with 6, 7, 8 partners. I mean, the sky's the limit. So I couldn't be more proud of you, brother. I love how you just showed up so humble, so hungry, and showed up and emptied your cup so we could fill it with your dream. And I can't wait to see what's next for you as you continue to climb higher, soar higher, and continue to take this momentum and keep pouring gasoline on the fire by putting in more and more reps, building more and more mastery muscle. Because once you get the black belt, you're not done. Then you go to 2nd degree black belt. And once you get there, you're not done. Then you go to 3rd degree black belt, and so on and so forth. Life is about mastery. and pursuing deeper and deeper levels of mastery. So I just want to honor you, brother, for being a man of mastery and being a man of your word. You can look yourself in the mirror and say, by God's grace, Dorn's system and my hustle, I honored my word to my wife. And that's the foundation now I get to lead my family with and create a legacy of freedom, legacy of creating magic moments and memories, legacy of living life on purpose, with purpose, in prosperity, because I honored my word, because I followed through, because I didn't let fear stop me. Whew, getting God bumps, goosebumps. Because that stuff matters, man. Stuff matters to me. I know it matters to Penny, and I know it matters to you. So thank you for being that beacon of light so that others can be guided by that light, just like a lighthouse.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you, brother. Super, super proud of you. So guys, if you're watching this, listening to this, you're like, man, I need me more of what Mark's got. I can relate to his story. I'm chewing up savings. I'm in freak out mode. I'm on the verge of having to go back to 9-to-5 prison, or whatever it is that you can relate to Mark's story. And you can see how Mark's journey connects with your journey. And the part that doesn't connect is that you don't have the answers that Mark now has. You're still in the struggle bus. You're still in the fear. You're still in the worry. You're still in the frustration. You're still in that void of not knowing how to break through and break free. And then you remember, how did Mark's story have that turning point breakthrough? It started with him booking a breakthrough call. So I invite you to do likewise by taking that next step and just simply exploring how we can help you, if we can help you, by booking a call at mortgagemarketingcoach.com/chat. That's mortgagemarketingcoach.com/chat. We're just going to have an honest conversation. We're just going to get real. Mark will tell you, we're just going to have a real talk, honest, raw conversation. Shine the light of truth on your situation to see if we can help you. If we can, we'll show you what that looks like, just like we did for Mark. If we can't, we'll suggest something else or someone else. But either way, my promise to you is that you leave this call with massive value, massive clarity. Chances are we're going to have some fun. Unless you're not a fun person, then we won't. It'll probably be a short call if you're not fun, just saying. We generally don't let people into Planet Prosper if they're not fun, just saying. I'm being a little bit, maybe a little bit brash, but not far off the truth. We do have a certain profile of client we can help. And you can tell the kind of people we can help are people like Mark. They're humble, they're hungry, and they're willing to hustle. They're willing to do the work. So if that's you, book a call. Let's see if we can help you. Again, that's mortgagemarketingcoach.com/chat. This is Dorn Aldana and my co-host Penny Riley, the one and only, with the one and only Mark Libario, who has just shared with you how he took his annual income and made that his quarterly income and then some, all within 11 short months. So if you'd like a whole lot more of what we've got in store with regards to the secret sauce to be able to replicate Mark's success or even soar even higher, if that's your desire, book a call, mortgagemarketingcoach.com/chat. Thanks for hanging with us. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace, y'all. Thank you for being with us.